I based this worship service on the movie and the book, Wonder. Wonder is about a brave grade 5 boy with facial deformities and his first year at a mainstream school. Wonder opens with Augie wearing a space helmet. August Pullman is a child who lives in his imagination, and he dreams about being normal and longs to be unnoticed and not judged. And with the help of his loving family, an inspirational teacher, and some truly wonderful friends, Augie learns how to navigate life as an average middle schooler with courage and, most importantly, kindness. So in 2017, when this movie came out, a box of Kleenexes, my son Rory beside me, and 8 teens from the church, I flopped down, and amongst us was full of children. And true to the social media posts at that time, I was crying within 15 minutes. But part of the allure of Wonder, as the social media post notes, comes from its real connection to a cause that we all can believe in. Choose kind. Wonder reminds us that we are all at the mercy of one another. Dark, pain-filled, lonely, and unpredictable corners exist in our lives. When we are backed into these corners, the simple kindness of one another can pull us into the lights. Despite the tear-soaked warnings, this movie is filled with joy and hope. Emotion rises up as Augie's story picks up the scabs and the scars we all carry. Everyone can identify with the pain of feeling mocked, isolated, and judged. As we read this book and watched this movie, parents relive their childhood traumas as they weep for those that they know can haunt their children today. And kids weep daily because they face the pain and are still tender enough to empathize with Augie. And in the end, we are encouraged by this advice: be kind. For me, the most telling moment in this film is when Augie's mother watched her son walk into the first day of school. Tears roll down her face as she watches the back of her son's head enter the turmoil that is middle school. She winces and whispers, "Oh, please, God, let them be nice to him." This is the basic desire we all carry. Please, God, let us be kind to one another. This desire makes us ache. Wonder isn't a religious film, but the prayer captures such a deep need that we all have. Please, oh please, God, let us be kind. Kindness is a cause we can all get behind. Kindness opens us up to the stories, the pain, and the experience of others. Kindness sees beyond the surface to the very soul of another, and in that moment sees value, meaning, and purpose. It honors Paul's notes to the Corinthian church. Don't you know that you yourselves are God's temple and that God's Spirit dwells in your midst? Kindness looks at another person the way God looks at us, with the compassion of Jesus and with empathy and purpose, all rolled up into the act of redemption and grace. Kindness recognizes the God beauty of another person, the beauty that was there from the very beginning, and it seeks the flourishing and well-being in each of us. In the video clip that we just saw, we hear Summer read Mr. Brown's precept. If you have the choice of being right or being kind, choose kind. There are a few kids within this movie and this book that help us reflect on how we interact with the world and within ourselves. Summer and Charlotte, not this Charlotte, are the two girls in this book and movie. So Summer befriends Augie almost from the instant that she meets him. There's no one sitting with him at lunchtime, and she feels sorry for him. So she leaves her friends, and she's judged for that. And she goes and she sits with Augie. And she soon realizes that he's really fun and funny and a really great kid. So she might have felt sorry for him at first, maybe even judged him. But after that, she decided to sit with him at lunchtime, ongoing, because she really enjoyed his company. Summer exemplifies the idea of choosing kind. On the other hand, Charlotte is a character who is asked to befriend Augie, and she does, but in a very distant way. She's friendly enough, but always from a distance. She never really pushes herself to do anything other than be friendly. So in my opinion, she symbolizes the notion of there's a difference between being nice and choosing kind. But she never really went out of her way to be kind. She has that sort of judgment we can all have. And she's afraid to risk doing something, and in this case, making a really incredible friend. Do we do this? Do we judge a book by its cover? Do we allow ourselves to be judged? And does this judgment affect how we live our lives? Do we judge ourselves? Do we need to be right all the time? Does this affect how we are kind to others and ourselves? And do we live with this precept when given the choice to be right or to be kind? Do we choose kind? I know that sometimes in my life I can judge people and I can judge myself before getting to know someone and listening to their stories. The biblical stories of Jesus overflow with the acts of kindness. Jesus impacted the world with such a gentle force that we can see the fruit of his kindness today. Back in Jesus' time, tax collectors like Zacchaeus were Rome's henchmen to collect taxes to the local areas. Romans hired them, and they were often seen as enemy of the Jews. Tax collectors added a surcharge to most taxes, and most of the time it was in excess, but they kept the money for themselves. They also seemed to have a relentless power to take any amount of money from the Jews. And Jewish society often listed these people as unclean. They were outcasts in the temple, in synagogues, by so many religious leaders. But Jesus was different. He crossed the barrier when he saw a man named Zacchaeus sitting in a tree. Apparently, Zacchaeus was more interested in discovering more than the riches than he acquired. He was there to get a glimpse of Jesus, and he climbed a tree to watch him pass. And unlike other religious leaders, Jesus stopped when he saw Zacchaeus. And perhaps Jesus perceived that he longed for meaning in life and wanted to connect with God. And Jesus told him, "Come down from that tree. I'm going to stay at your house today." Jesus knew that he would be ridiculed and judged for hanging out with Zacchaeus because people did not like Zacchaeus. They judged him. He thought he was a wicked man, and they could not believe that Jesus would choose to spend such time with such a person. This is a perfect example of choosing kindness over being right. Jesus might have had an easier time that day if he had chose what might have been right in the eyes of the crowd gathered that day, but he chose kindness. And in turn, that was the right thing to do. This kindness helped Zacchaeus understand what was right. And perhaps because of this unconditional acceptance, Zacchaeus stopped Jesus in his tracks and said, "I will give half my possessions to the poor. And if I have taken too much from anyone, I will give back 4 times as much." It is amazing what happens under the blanket of kindness. This story shows the power of kindness and its impact on Zacchaeus' life. Jesus demonstrates that we could change the world if we step outside our lives and create acts of kindness for the unsuspecting and the hurting. We can make the world a community where love and joy flow and heal broken places. A life with this type of resume changes the world. The theme of Jesus' kindness is the center of the entire book and movie of Wonder, and so many stories of Jesus that we find in the Bible. How do we choose kindness over judgment, over being right? It's not always an easy choice. We are harshly judgmental of our family and neighbors, people in the grocery store, and ourselves, and most often without realizing it. We can be stuck at being right, and when kindness falls to the side, unnoticed. How are we impacting the world with kindness? What is a precept that we may live by? How might we choose kindness to make this world a better place? Let's echo Augie's mother's words when she said, "Oh God, let them be kind to him," just as Zacchaeus' prayer might have been for himself. May we clothe ourselves with compassion, kindness, humility, gentleness, and patience, and be reassured that we do not do this alone. Thanks be to God, for God walks with us and puts supports of our family and our friends and our faith community to help us along the journey.